and cameras are both recording. And we got a good cameraman tonight. And you guys want to start the stop clock now? Once I start after the countdown. I got Rand Hood, Austin Allard, Joshua, Mike Budde. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No turning back.
There's no turning back.
Somebody give us a countdown and let's do this and have some fun tonight because it always turns out to be that way. Yes.
Yes. Put some headphones on.
Hey, I feel like I just joined the party.
Hi. Hey, now we can hear
Welcome,
you.
Ken.
Greetings and salutations. I love you guys.
All right.
3, 2.
Hi, everybody. This is episode 71 of What's Neat This Week. I got Ken Patterson, Mike Budde, I got Austin Allard, and Rand Hood, and we're going to go over a lot of cool stuff, and I got a little surprise. We'll see you soon.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athern Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athern.com. And by Bachman Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at bachmantrains.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 71 for April 6th. 2019, guys. We made it to 71, rock and roll. And tonight I've got with me Michael Budde sitting over here next to me. I love Mike. We've got Rand Hood on Skype over here. Hi, Rand.
Hey,
Hello.
Rand.
Sugarfire, Joshua Barton.
Hi, everybody.
I love you, brother. Austin Allard, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of good times in Colorado and here in St. Louis. You've been hanging out a lot and getting a lot done train-wise with us. And, of course, I'm Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And tonight we've got a full plate. In fact, we got some really cool stuff tonight. Plus, we're going to have a little bit of fun. But we'll get into that later. So starting out with new news, I want to go to Joshua, because Joshua, you had something you wanted to talk about right away.
Yourself and me and George Bogotoff, who was visiting here from Colorado last week, we decided to take him to the National Train Museum here in St. Louis, Missouri, and got to show George quite a bit of interesting stuff there. But we had a fan of the show come up to us right when we were in the cab of the big boy.
Yes.
I saw a gentleman staring at us, and I was like, he's staring. We should go down there. So we went down, and it turns out his name is Kyle Volk, and he watches the show.
Hey,
yeah,
Kyle.
thanks. And here's a picture of him, and we got to hang out with him for a little while and talk to him while he was there. It was just starting to rain just a little bit.
Yeah, it was really neat. We actually had 3 groups of folks walk up to us and tell us that they watch us on the show. And it was raining, and there wasn't that many people at the museum. It's not like there was more than 12 people there.
Barely, yeah.
It was amazing. And we also met a very interesting man.
Al Weber.
Al Weber.
Yeah.
Al Weber
Wow.
really is the glue that holds that place together. I mean, they are building new trolleys and a whole lot of new things. He's in charge of, I guess, a lot of the maintenance on everything at that museum.
Every car that we had questions about, he had detailed answers about everything in it. It was very cool, very inspirational.
In fact, they used the passenger car as their workshop, and he took us in there and he showed us the layout that they're building, that they're going to sell and raise money for the museum with. Just absolutely a great place. If you haven't been to it, the St. Louis Transportation Museum.
And it has quite a few very unique engines and cars. So it has one of the few big boys left.
Yeah.
It has one,
Aero
my favorite
Train.
car, the
The
Aero
Aero
Train.
Train,
Yeah,
yes.
How about that auto rack, Mike?
Yeah, the first auto rack for
that's
sale.
right. Every time I go there, I say, that's Mike Budde's auto rack right there.
I know. I bet I don't have B-roll of all of that. But the fact is, it's a great place. You guys got to check that out.
Definitely.
Austin, we did some rail fanning when we were out in Denver.
We sure did.
Tell us about that. Awesome. We were Chris Palomares. Where were we?
We went from Denver to Littleton on the joint line, which is BNSF and UP owned. Saw a ton of coal traffic. And I remember in excuse me, in Colorado when we were there, we saw a northbound, I think, BNSF passing a southbound UP, and then next thing you know, we're facing north, and from the south comes this commuter train and flies past us, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That rapid transit, it was all great. It was beautiful. It was cold, a lot of snow out there.
It was cool how it kind of went up and went from the west side of the track to the east side of the joint line by just doing a flyover. And it was, reminded me of the Metrolink in St. Louis.
Oh.
Really, really cool. Now here in Missouri, we've got a lot of flooding going on in the backyard. Today I got to film a Union Pacific northbound running, and as I pan across, you can see the high water that we've got. I guess, it's normal for this time of year for us around here. If you look at last year's show, we covered the same type of footage. But boy, they really got it in Nebraska, didn't they?
And Iowa.
Yeah. And we're going up there. And we're going to be up there for the Spring Creek show up there. So that's going to be fun when we do that. So rock and roll. Rand Hood, welcome to the show, brother. We love having you. You did a fantastic job out in Colorado at the Rocky Mountain Train Show when you were on camera. You and George Bogatuk actually met for the first time on camera. It was great to catch that moment.
That was good. Yeah, and I've talked to him subsequently. So this show opens up just so many things for people. And I appreciate that and everything that you do. I think one of the most burning questions, though, right away, I just have to address this, is Michelle was asking about the New Mexico green chilies. Is it green or is it red? Well, Karen came up with something to answer, and her answer is it's both. And what we're looking at here is Karen's blue corn stacked enchilada Christmas style with green hatch chilies and red adobo sauce, which is smoky, and with a 3-pepper Colby Jack cheese, bean, green onion, and black olives. So the answer is both.
I'll take 2 orders, please.
So you got a lot of photographs going on here, Rand. A few projects you're working on. You want to talk about some of this?
Yeah, one of the first things, I was goofing around today working on some buildings, and we get these the roofing material, whether it be the shingles or tar paper. When this stuff comes, it's usually too bright or too much looking like a piece of paper. So I found something that worked really, really well, and it has to do with the Micro-Mark scenery and ballast cement.
Okay.
For some reason, that stuff just absolutely disappears as a glue. And what I do is I mix it with my powders, like I use the Bragdon powders. And if you mix that in there and you can thin it down a little bit, I was painting this over the roof and took the blue-gray and made it look like shake shingles based on the powders, or like a really old black tar paper.
That is really cool.
But it totally disappears, and the one thing I like about it is if you do those strips of shingles, in the end, I'm always worried about longevity, that 5 years from now they're going to start separating.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, this was an idea that would help glue and make it all kind of one unit. So I just included a couple photos to show how that works. It glues the roof together. It gives it a good weathered appearance, and it's stuck down. I can now wet the scenery and not worry about losing those powders.
Definitely.
And then one of the last photos was just showing the side of a building. That's just styrene, but using that same principle with this powders, built it up, and it looked like old wood and with an old blue paint that was peeling off.
And makes it durable.
Just something that works. I don't know.
No, it's fantastic, man. We love it when you share new tips and different ideas like that, and you're always coming up with them because you're always doing something. It was nice to see you in your studio. Your little work table actually is not very large, but it's very efficient. And in fact, you're sitting at that table when you open up the Maze What's Neat video for us. I'm running that film clip of you right now. So that's going to be rock and roll. Austin Allard, you guys did a great interview together, both you and Rand Hood, and I just finished editing that video, and it came out really good because you talk a lot about your philosophy and how it changed.
Yeah.
But you also talked a lot about John Parker's layout and how that layout had an influence on you. And so I've run a lot of that footage of John's layout during the interview, and it really came out great. Rand Hood, you are very good at doing interviews, brother.
Hey, he's the one that did it all. He's the one that was figuring it all out. But I got to tell you, I've been thinking about it too. And I saw a video the other day about Norfolk and Southern, the double track. And now it's got me thinking about that, because the dispatcher in a space of 80 miles showed 23 trains.
Wow.
And 4 pushers. Out there, you guys call them pushers. Out here, we call them helpers. But how he had them lined up and waiting for trains. So,
Man.
Austin, there's something to that. You might have to call me and convince me that I need to get off this single track thing.
No, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Rand's Hood's lips really do match up to what you're seeing, because in post-edit, I'm going to make them match. But in the room shots, we do have a bit of a delay on Skype. Sorry about that. Don Couric, I want to bring up your company again. It's called StudioDKits.com. Did you hear the D in there, guys?
D as in David.
D.
D as in dog.
I'm sorry, Don. The first time we talked about your beautiful resin structures that you cast without any air bubbles, absolutely beautiful buildings. Engine Company number 9, the Firehouse, was one of the screen captures I showed, and DC Merchants. I remember talking about that. And of course, your rail car loads that you've got, and some of your super detail products to enhance your one's layout. We showed all the B-roll footage of that, but I failed to get the name of your company correct. It is not StudioKits.com. It is DKits.com. So rock and roll. You know what? If you can make a mistake and have this much fun doing it and not get fired, I love my job.
It's kind of like the weatherman.
Okay. I don't know where to go after that, Mikey. You want to talk about these cars you got on the table, brother?
I want him to talk about those cars.
Yeah, there are a few more of John Tyson's castings, starting with the blue one. It starts with a 66 Impala, and then going to the right, they go up to 1970, and then the silver one is a 73. But these are something I've wanted for a long time. Ever since these cars were new, I've wanted them in HO scale, so John Tyson has figured out a way to make them. And I really enjoy painting these and doing different body styles. I'll probably make some station wagons out of some of these cars, too. But another thing, auto-related, I wanted to tell you guys I stumbled on another Luke Towan video.
Luke Towan.
And but
what's this one about, Mike?
well, a couple months ago on the comments on our podcast, somebody mentioned this company called Magna Rail.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
I tried to find, I don't know who it was, but maybe you can identify yourself in the comments. But I looked it up at the time, and it was really interesting, very impressive. And now Luke takes that same system and makes it work on a diorama that he's building with a building with a completely detailed interior, all different kinds of lights and stuff, and the usual scenery that Luke does really well. But
Luke.
the vehicle system is pretty cool, and it's got a bicyclist that you could see his legs
Look at that.
pushing the pedals.
That is so cool.
This
So-
is the coolest video clip we've ever run.
I
Luke
think
Towan.
so. I think so.
Look
Yeah.
at that. I mean, it's like he's really pedaling.
Yeah.
And he did it with a couple bikes.
Mhm.
Yep. And they actually sell 3 different systems.
Right.
They have the box bicycle system, and that comes with 2 different bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the box slider, and that's for up to 8 of your cars. And whether you're HO, Z scale, N scale, they all hook in, so you can use your own existing
Right.
cars onto this chain system. And they also have a box boat. So if you model a lot of water and want to put boats in there,
That's interesting.
same thing. So I
Right.
looked it up. U.S. it's about $190 for a kit,
Wow.
which really isn't bad because I've spent more on the Faller car system.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the fact that you can use your own cars,
right.
you can take that car right there, and in 5 minutes you can have it running on the track.
And he shows how you take a router and dig a channel out just the right size for this plastic chain to fit, and you just make it a loop to loop where the cars go to one end and turn around and come back, and the bicyclist or whatever. And But depending on the number of links you put in there, you can custom build it to any length.
Definitely check out Luke Talon's video on YouTube.
And that's Magna Rail.
Yeah, www.magnorail.com. Check them out. They're really cool.
Guys, that is great. I mean, if we stop the show right now, that is a show. That was amazing.
But there's more yet to come.
Oh, but wait, there's more, Randhood, because there are 6 beautiful photographs in front of me, and I love your Colorado modeling, brother. Talk to us about this art.
Let's see. I think when we were talking in the April, what's neat, some of the comments were, I don't understand what you're going to do about winter. It sounds like you're going to do fall. Well, I wasn't real clear on explaining the many facets of winter when you don't do just everything buried in snow. So Karen and I ran out on Tuesday and shot these photos to kind of show what happens like out here in early April, the patterns of the snow. And that's what we're after when we redo the Moffett section.
Right, that partially melted, yes.
Yeah, where it's laying in the shadows mostly, and then the other side of it is like in picture 2, it's showing how a ridge will create its own snow fence and actually dump the snow down in that draw, and then the little bushes and stuff that kind of get buried in there, and then a photo of a hillside where it's a rocky hillside, but all the snow's in the crevices. So that's what we're after. It's a very complex pattern. But it's so enjoyable to look at because the white makes it abstract, and it's just some of my favorite paintings are, the spring sequences where it's the green grasses are coming through with white patches of snow. But I found some photos from the old layout where we were just starting this kind of treatment where it's different this time that it's an October scene, but we're looking at this culvert runoff, and they had a snow and it's melted back and it's very light in that channel, but the culvert water is up and running. And so, but I also just wanted to show the kind of October setting that was on the old layout. We didn't save this part of the layout. It went out on the curb, and the next morning it was gone. So I don't know who's running it, but I hope you're having fun.
Yeah, it's better than getting it crushed in a dumpster.
Yeah.
Well,
Randhood, what's going on with the caboose running away from us in the photographs here?
Creek?
Coal Creek.
Yeah, that's the Coal Creek setting in Colorado that kind of shows the approach and then the other side of it.
Oh, I see.
So you can kind of see how it's climbing up. But
I love it how you show the cars in the distance as the engines are pulling out of a tunnel. That's a cool trick. I've done that in N-Scale and HO for Atlas one time. It's one of the most favorite shots I ever did. But your scenery is just magnificent, Randhood.
I just wanted to show you setting a temperature. We talked about that in doing scenery. And I guess, maybe I can kind of offer that is always to think about the temperature of what you're creating. And that, it's just a way to kind of establish something. And of course, I was going for Indian summer here, which is in our sense is 70-degree days and cool nights. But that was, that's the old layout, and that kind of won't be part of the new layout. So, like I say, somewhere somebody I hope is running that section, and hey, send a photo of what you've done with it.
Yeah.
And don't claim that it's your own work.
Right.
Hey, Austin Allard, we were out in a little bitty town, a very small scratch on the earth in Colorado called Genoa.
Yes, I
Genoa.
think so. Genoa, yeah.
Genoa, Colorado. And we saw a really cool complex of grain storage buildings that are evidently brand new. Tell us about that really cool experience.
Yeah, so we're driving down, I guess, back from Colorado, and Ken notices there's a couple of new grain elevators. In fact, Google Maps doesn't even have them on, but in the photo they are. And it was cool because there's a blue hopper, a red hopper, green for CNW, and you just don't see that many different colors put together in such a short cut of hoppers. It was only like 6 or 7. And with the way the lighting was, we pulled over and shot pictures and video.
Because it's modelable. It is just the right size for a layout. It wasn't too obtuse and great big, but yet all the colors. And with the snow, here comes Rand Hood with that partially.
It was.
Snow effect.
It was.
The contrast between the new and the old structures is interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, the grain silos on Google Maps aren't there yet, but the old grain elevator, you could tell the rust streaked off the roof and down the side.
The best thing about the silos is you don't have to weather them. They're brand new.
That was so
makes it so easy.
That's the old Rock Island that came into Colorado. That's part of what I've been modeling. A lot of small town. It's run by the Kyle Railroad now.
Okay.
And a lot of their rail out there, you can look on the side and see 1962 still stamped. They just never upgraded the Rock Island. So when Kyle runs on it, it's about 5 to 10 miles an hour, and it takes him a long time to go between towns.
Wow.
Karen and I have chased them, and it's like we do a lot of time just standing around contemplating life, waiting for them.
Go to get something to eat, come back.
Pretty much read a novel, whatever.
Is it
it's good railroading, though.
Or is it red? That's the question.
Green or red?
Now, before I start on a story, I'd like to talk about my exciting trip to Horizon last week, looking at their new studio and the video that we made on their brand new Athearn engine they came out with on the table tonight. In fact, I've got that engine sitting here.
Beautiful.
In front of Mike's car's right in front of it. And I want to talk about that in a second, but first I want to cover these right here, these speeders. I thought these were O-scale from Bachmann. They're not. These are G-scale speeders from Bachmann. It's in their catalog. I've got the 2019 catalog right here. I know, what's that? And inside the catalog, they actually talk about this. These are $139 retail, but it's really cool that this is G-scale. And we were talking about speeders on the last show, and I think we're going to talk about them some more because we're going to have some footage of trips and different things like that. So look forward to that. Thank you very much. We've also got the NCE Pro Cab and Power Cab on the table, actually the smaller throttle and the large throttle. I've been using these a lot this week because I ran some Athearn F units on the layout and enjoyed them. NCE is enjoying being on the show. They are actually able to monetize and show the numbers. We're having an influence on them. So thank you to all the wonderful folks out there that have purchased the NCE DCC system. You can't go wrong. We all know that. Ours works every day.
Every day.
I love it. So yeah, I got to go out to Horizon, and it was a lot of fun to go out there. They've got a studio out there where I met James Wright and Chris Palomares, and a lot of the gentlemen that run the studio out there, they all worked with us. And so we created this video out there, and it was really neat to see their equipment of the new SD90 MAC H2 locomotive, and I've got this locomotive right in front of me here. Isn't this so beautiful? This is the Australian version where the handrails are really cool. If you check them out, they're double handrails for protection. It's really neat the way that turned out. James Wright was really fantastic. He opened the box and gave his input on weight and everything else that the model did. It was just really interesting to work with them. Matt Gentry was also out there working with me on the project. And then they came to St. Louis, of course, last week, and we did a show here. But the really cool thing was after we got done working at Horizon, Chris took us out to dinner at a really neat restaurant there in Champaign, where it's built in this beautiful Illinois Central train station.
Nice.
So I videotaped the outside of the building. It was nighttime. It was very beautiful to see this building. And then, of course, here's all of us sitting there at the table having a great time. An Amtrak train had pulled through, so they got the main train service right through the middle of town there. That was kind of neat to see. And then, of course, after we were done, before we all broke it up, James treated us all to some very nice cigars. I understand these were very, very special cigars. And it was really cool. Thank you very much, Chris Palomares and Horizon, for hosting me out there in your studio. That was a lot of fun. It was great to see your equipment, and I learned a lot. You guys have got some great people working out there at Horizon. I love it. I know. How cool
we
is
didn't
that?
Mention the removable cab roof on this engine,
Talk
which
to
is
me about
really
that.
cool. It's got a fully detailed interior, but the roof is held on with magnets, so you can take it off to add or
That's cool. And you just
subtract
drop your
Lights in
figures
there,
right in
or
there.
Yes.
figures, or
So another way you can detail that out to the max.
Wow,
Good
finally
idea.
something so easy. Love it.
Ken, find your Ken Patterson figure and stick him in there.
Hey, you can get 3D copies of yourself made now.
There you go.
In HO scale.
Wow, we could put ourselves right on the podcast table, right next to that nice trophy from James Wright.
Yeah.
What does that say? Best video podcast. Thank you very much, the People's Choice Awards. I know, as I scratch my own back. Come on, I had a little fun here. Why do we have these things? What's this all about?
What's this all about? Well, it's Daniel Coombs' birthday.
Oh,
Happy
Daniel
birthday,
Coombs.
Daniel.
Happy birthday, Daniel.
Now, Daniel's not here because Mom treated him to a trip to Chicago with a lot of his military buddies that are going into service. So
How cool is that?
They're all hanging out. But Mom brought us a cake with Daniel's photograph on it, guys.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
thank you. Happy birthday, Daniel.
Hey, happy birthday. 19.
19 and very good at camera and
Couple
very
times
good in
over
front
for
of
me.
the camera. Daniel's got a following of people.
He sure does. He's got a lot of
CC
fans.
Daniel, otherwise known as Red.
That's right.
Sugar Fire. I know we're having way too much fun tonight.
That's
I've
right.
covered the SD90 Mac. That is done. We've covered Genoa. We've got Rand Hood still with us, and that's cool because you're also in the April video. We talked about the interview that you did with Austin Allard, and that video just now came out over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. That's the Rand Hood Austin Allard interview where you guys actually dissect Austin's mind, and he kind of changes a little bit of his philosophy on how he's going to build his layout, which is kind of cool. We have an interview with Andy Edelman from MTH Electric Trains. Andy's a great guy. Michelle Kempema does an interview with Corinne Williams from the Combres and Toltec Railroad. That is a really neat video. Stephen M. Conroy supplies us with some drone footage of Columbus, Ohio during sunset. Absolutely beautiful. And of course, George Bogatuk shows us his ES-44 with LED lights in it. That video has just come out, April What's Neat, over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. It is free, and we love producing it. It's a lot of fun. And with that, is there anything else around the table that I have forgotten?
I do not think so.
I don't think so either.
I want to remind everyone to go to our YouTube site, subscribe, hit the little bell so you get the notifications.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Instagram.
I saw that tonight.
new
Instagram. I don't know what
That's
that's all about, but okay.
We'll teach you.
You're
we'll
in
teach
charge.
That's right.
So, guys, with this, not only do we get to go run some trains tonight, but let's go eat some cake.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Daniel.
birthday, Daniel.
We miss you
Yeah.
already.
Daniel.
We'll celebrate without you.
Best hobby in the world, guys. Show number 71 for April 6, 2019. Thank you, and tell all your friends about the show. Hey, Chris.